So welcome everybody to the Leominster Conservation Commission meeting. It is June 27th, 2023 at 6:01 p.m. My name is Nick Kremp. I'm the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone present to please silence any devices or cell phones you might have on you so we don't get any interruptions during the meeting. And I will continue on with a roll call of the commissioners present. Mike Seeking.
Here.
Jim Chambers.
Here.
Stephanie Quinlan.
Here.
Richard Gullick.
Here.
And Chuck Raymond.
And here as well.
And absent are Bob Seacard, who may or may not be showing up, and Ken Ridland, who will not be coming tonight.
Great.
And with that, I'll kick it off to the chairman, Chuck Raymond.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you, Rich, for holding on the fort a couple weeks ago. Appreciate it. No trouble. Very much. Moving on, I think I know what the result of this will be, but we've started a recent tradition before we get going and make sure see if there's anybody in the audience who wants to bring up anything that's not on the agenda. I assume, sir, you're here for the agenda, so all right. So we'll move on past that agenda. Excellent. That was an easy way to check that one off. Super. Nothing under new hearings? And under continued hearings, are you here for this first one on View Street?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and read it into the record. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 130, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent for the construction of a single-family house and associated site work in a wetland buffer zone and riverfront area of Newsnook Brook. Address View Street, Lot 1, map and parcel 123-14-1. And there is no DEP file number, so we can't close the meeting time, but we can certainly go ahead and open it. If you're here to present that, please introduce yourself.
Carl DeMassa. I have met you, or?
No, yeah, I wasn't here last time, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also. Okay.
Carl, do you have an extra copy?
I have a whole bunch of them.
Maybe. Oh yeah, we could just distribute that.
I didn't know if you had done anything.
I last minute today put it on the drive, but I don't think anyone's seen it. So.
I've got.
Anything?
Always prepared.
No, I don't have. I got five. I think four. Stuff and I can share or whatever. Let's go. Over 10.
All right. Not a gigantic change.
No, it's So what?
Sorry.
Thank you.
This is my last lot on the project. 3-lot subdivision. That's as old as the hills, 1949. The last one is on lot 1. We're looking to put the same duplex I did up on the higher side of the hill. What we've changed since 2 weeks ago, that we were discussing the wall, the retaining wall is 17 feet tall. So we've got it down to 10 feet. And we tweaked the house square to the road, not on an angle. We moved it down about 6 feet, but everything we moved gained on
Down being
the height.
toward the hill?
Towards the water. 6 feet down, but like 15 feet. It was on an angle, slight angle, so we squared it to the road, and which brought it away from the wall, which helped us drop the wall. So it shows 2 walls now, and I'm actually gonna put another wall. That shows 3 walls now. One in the middle of the house, I think. One downhill, and then that 17-foot wall drops down to 10
One
feet.
here and one here.
So we did gain a lot by dropping it and moving it.
So really, the net effect of you squaring the house to the road was, overall, you're probably less impactful, you're further away from the water. It seems
Yes,
like
from the
there's
back, yes,
more
correct.
square footage away from the water than there was previously.
Yes, you're right.
But some square footage closer, 6 feet closer.
Well, going down the hill, but the water goes off at an angle anyway, so it's far enough away, but I'm saying it turned it.
It's far enough away
So the
that
back corner.
6 feet doesn't bother me much.
Oh, okay,
It's
it's just,
that slope
yeah,
that was the main interest, so.
right.
Can you describe the
And
terrace, Carl, please
Oh, yeah.
describe the terracing? Like Is it terraced then?
Yes.
So there's a level before it drops again?
Yes.
And how wide is that? Is it once, twice?
I don't
See, if
know.
there's 3 walls, then.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's-
Well, one wall is
I'm sorry.
perpendicular to the house. Out back.
Yes, did you have a plan?
Yeah.
Okay. So that wall starts in the back of the house and goes all the way down
This one.
and around. That's the back,
Okay, yeah.
that's the one that was in question at 17 feet.
Is that the wall that's now 10 feet?
Yeah, we dropped that one to 10. And I'm actually gonna put another wall upper side, which I don't think you really care about, but to help the drop of the house, like what we did.
Can you take this up there and point to things for us, please? Like, I think I can follow you from there.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Give Robert a chance to zoom in.
Ooh, that'd be a tough zoom, but.
So this is the wall that was in question originally, that goes like this, this, and this. And that was the 17 foot.
Where the 458 line is, kind of?
Yes,
Like a
It's the
exactly.
elevation, it's the elevation, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and over here
really.
it shows that
Yes.
it's, top of the wall is, 540, 458, and the bottom of the wall is 448. So that's the 10 feet instead.
Got it.
And what I did, like I said, I tweaked the house this way. This corner came closer to the street, because it was more on an angle. So by doing that, that helped us here. Then we have another
Helped you
wall,
move that deck in more, away from the wall?
this one here, the deck.
Yes. I mean, that movement twisted it so the deck got a little further away from the
Right.
wall.
Exactly, yes.
And that's what
Yes.
gave you more room for the wall.
Right, plus I put another wall here on the upper side.
Yeah.
See that half moon?
Yeah.
Right here.
See that one? You say there's a third wall?
Well, those are the two, and then there's a wall right here, right behind the house,
Just the
right in the
perpendicular.
middle of the house. So it drops
So that'd be
each
like,
lot, so this, looking at the house with your back to the woods,
That's due.
this
Oh, I see what
house
it is.
to the
Thanks.
unit,
unit to the right, to the left, will be a little higher, this will drop down. So
To
that
deal
will help
with
that.
the elevation right there, is that a new feature?
Yes, that was, I don't
That's
think that was on
No, it wasn't on.
the, I don't think it was
no,
on the
that's
first
good,
plan.
yeah.
And then I'm,
So,
being on site, you can see a lot better. But I think I'm gonna put another wall here because this slope, it'll take this slope away by putting one here. Just to separate, instead of having a
property
shot.
Yeah,
separation.
right,
it'll
straight
come
shot.
and drop down. And maybe only a 2 foot wall, but 2 foot makes a big difference.
Right.
Because now you slope the back up a foot, you got
So
3
weather
feet.
doesn't have a chance to get going.
Exactly. So that's the changes we made to make it
Okay.
from last week to here.
So for the big hill, there's one terracing there.
Yes,
Does that top of the big hill move back?
no, exactly the same spot.
Where it is?
Mm.
Good news, the rain has helped with the seating a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So none of this is, this wall is not, I mean, it's just hard to tell without being there.
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, always. As to
And you
how
know-
much of that slope this involves.
Yeah, that's, I agree with you on that. It's like, you see it on a flat piece of property on paper.
But you had mentioned to me, I don't know if you mentioned in the hearing so far, but the plans, even with the newly submitted plans today, doesn't require any additional tree clearing or cutting
No,
or
nothing,
anything.
nothing.
So,
No. And the other thing is, I mean, if I can pick up a foot here or there as I'm building it,
mhm,
you know, all of a sudden you see something, you can say, well, I can drop this down a little more and make that wall. I'm
right,
not a fan of the 10-foot wall,
right,
but like somebody said to me, well, a 10-foot wall, at least it's basketball height, basketball hoop height.
mhm,
You know, you can relate to it. But
right,
17 feet is like, okay, how do you explain that?
right,
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
you know, the 10 feet, respectable
mhm,
at best. I'd love to get it down to 6, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If I can put another wall, like he said, the corner is so close to the wall that you could put another wall, but that, I don't know.
Do you know?
I guess it's a
I'm trying to see.
on-site thing.
Yeah, this might be slightly out of the scope of this commission, but do you know if there's any requirements like per building or anyone that you need to put a fence or a gate at the top of those terraces?
Oh, I would,
You
at
would,
10 feet.
you would anyway, but
Yeah, I gotta put something.
are you required to?
I would say
On the top of the wall,
yes.
that you do from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a, anybody can fall over. I mean, you or I
Yeah.
can never,
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
kids are definitely gonna fall over it,
Sure,
but,
sure. Still better than 17 feet, but
Yeah.
just curious,
Yeah.
that's all.
Nick, please give us your conservation agent, understanding of what the Riverfront Act allows within 200 feet.
So the Riverfront Act, you're able to alter either up to 5,000 square feet of the existing parcel or up to 10% of the riverfront area in the parcel, whichever one is greater.
How big is this parcel?
Acre?
More than 5.
Yeah, let me see.
The total lot,
Or
you're asking?
is this,
Yeah, well, he's gonna go
is
ahead.
this property going to, that you're building on, gonna include your land over here?
Well, that is all part of the land,
It's all
yeah.
gonna, this is
It's
all
spelled out in there.
a property?
Yeah, there's no building here. This is
Okay.
just,
Well,
it's a
So
big,
there's- so
big
there's no
lot of
requirement.
subdivision.
I might
For a
subdivide.
family home is at least
only because
12,500 square feet.
this, I made this a
What, the
condo
lot?
and I sold the lot.
Yeah,
right
minimum, it's gotta
here.
be
So
is
you
12,000.
have this, you have
500
this. Well,
square
if I leave all this, I think that's gonna create a problem with the condo.
You said that was for two,
So I think I might put a
two,
line
which
where,
this is.
okay, this is yours,
Yeah,
this
right.
is yours, and that's the end of it. And I'm thinking
Don't
about
see
the
the-
guy here, it's only 70 feet.
So obviously this lot's more than 5,000
His
square
fence is
feet.
on my property.
Right.
Mhm.
If he wants to pay for the lawyer,
Then
fees
we'll
to get
get
that,
on
I'm
the
gonna get it.
criteria.
So up to
Because it's
5,000
no value
square
to
feet
anybody.
of the riverfront area in that parcel.
Yeah, so
or
essentially
10%
it's still
of that
remain
riverfront
undeveloped.
Yeah, the little sewer line's right there,
So,
the drain line,
What's that
everything's
second?
there.
10% of the roof, what,
So the total riverfront, so,
you got it right there?
yeah, so in Illinois, they have to state the total riverfront area
Oh,
on
okay.
the site, which
Okay.
is 36,800.
So that brings down to 3680. So whichever one's greater, you said, or lesser?
So there, yeah, so that's the total riverfront area in the
Right.
site. That is the proposed alteration. Well,
This is.
yeah, this is the total
above
proposed
Where
alteration.
the, where the walls are,
So that would be
just before the drop off.
Yeah.
This is all, this wall's above
of that area.
So I thought I said he can only.
Toward the house.
10%.
It's above the top of the hill.
Yeah, it's above the grade,
Yeah,
the grade
Yeah.
part.
But with the
Did-
10% thing, I think we should be like conservatively assuming that he is gonna subdivide the lot.
No, it is, it's a two-family already.
No, I know, but subdividing it further,
He owns all this land up here, which is part of that parcel right now, that the two-family duplexes on.
You're talking about the northern portion or the top portion of the
Yeah.
same lot?
yeah, which may not remain part of that lot.
Right. I don't think we should consider that presently because.
Yeah, but is that part of your frontage calculation?
Well, no, we're going by the report from Haley and Ward.
I understand
Yeah,
that, but
it's a
the
t-
question is, does the report say that the riverfront
Mhm.
frontage, is it just this part that's
No, it's
for
for
the
the
whole
whole,
house, or it's for the whole
it's for the
parcel?
whole parcel.
Right,
Well, parcel as it exists today.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
of
we
this
get-
parcel, 96, or,
9,500 square feet.
yeah. Of the total 36,000 square feet of riverfront area in this parcel.
So just knowing that it may be subdivided again to reduce the size of the
That-
parcel.
That's.
We can't, yeah, he's
Yeah,
not
that's-
proposing that.
Right.
If someone proposed like development of a lot, kind of in a situation that you're probably familiar with, and then, they come in later on and try and subdivide it further, then we can address that, but we can't.
I can't assume.
Consider things that they're not actually proposing.
And the existing lot is 37,610 square feet.
So of that 37,000, about 36,800 is in the riverfront area.
I think some of the commissioners, at least perhaps this one, pictured the hillside itself having the terracing, because it was the hillside that was the concern, the one that is now grassed. You were here at that last meeting, what was your take when we were talking about the terracing?
No, I thought what we were after was to terrace it before it hit the edge to stop,
Before it hit the edge.
to stop the water from starting to gain momentum, which would tear out the edge to, the tearing would, water would come off, slow down, and, you know, an area this, you know, as wide as this room doesn't get much momentum. And if it's being captured in the terracing, it's gonna go straight down. You know, if it's gravel and all that, you're gonna get a lot of leaching right into the ground, rather than a rivulet starting uphill and just blowing right down into a massive.
And this will have a discharge, is this gonna be a point discharge from here? From the wall, or it's just gonna flow over?
Well,
If it's gonna flow over, it's gonna find the lowest point and create its own.
Well, it depends.
right, but if we shape the whole thing going back to the street, you know, we haven't had a washout at the top one, and we've got three terraces on the top, upper one. So we can shape everything to make it work.
Usually the
Yeah, we're not gonna
walls
dump the
are
water. to go-
You will obviously need the top of the wall higher than
higher than
that
the.
lawn, whatever's gonna, whatever's gonna be.
So you're gonna bring in a bunch of dirt to fill,
No,
to do this?
It's moving
no,
stuff
no, I
around.
gotta sell the whole dig out. So I gotta take that away.
Okay, so you'll use that to fill in the 17 feet of the wall. So you're raising the dirt how far then?
No,
No, not at all?
no, I'm trying to lower this whole thing, not raise it.
Yeah, if you look at the elevations, the elevation at the edge of the hill is about 446 and the wall is at 458.
What's
Really,
the house?
probably a 4-foot difference in elevation there.
What is the level of the house?
The foundation.
It's
Sure.
a-
Probably about
So,
475.
It's like 466.
Yeah, 466.
You're trying to level this land off with a sill, or
Right there's top of concrete.
something?
Yeah, there's a garage floor a foot lower.
Good.
And that's the floor of the basement floor.
And so this elevation right outside is going to be 474?
It's 450, here it is.
Don't try to get to the bottom of this front area.
460
So it
right
is,
here.
But are you filling, so there's an angle from the building to here, right? You're filling in this between here and the.
No, that's the area right above it there.
No, no, because this is gonna be lowered. This whole thing is dropping down.
Okay, so you gotta dig into the.
Probably lose work, because this is gonna be a walkout.
So where's the
So what-
water gonna go? Which
Yeah.
direction?
There's a perimeter drain that's coming out through the wall.
Right, there's a,
So I'm trying to get my head around that. I'm really-
So it all
I
gets
can't figure it
focused
out.
on one
Yeah.
point. Like,
So.
Yeah.
drain around the house,
Either
circles
10%
out.
of the total area.
Among one part.
Okay,
It doesn't
So-
spread
so-
around, it concentrates.
so
The-
it'll
the
be
absorption, I guess what I'm saying is if it sits on the
A
top
single
Six eighty.
and it
Yeah,
starts
oh, yeah.
running, it's a lot
Okay,
worse
so,
than if it
yes,
gets
it will be a
absorbed.
single point.
It will be a single point, which then goes to the steep hill that all we have is the drain.
But it's down so
So-
low,
so-
it's
so-
almost at the level of the
you're
hill,
saying you think
so it's
it's
almost running
almost
flat.
I think it's above that, but I'm gonna double check it because.
And then down
it
the
might
steep
change.
slope.
Oh, yeah, if it gets that way, I mean, all that stuff
No,
is just
yeah,
pure
that's-
gravel up
that's
there, I mean,
all
that
right.
must absorb water,
I was gonna say, okay.
Because that might
like kitty litter,
change depending on what
I
lot
mean,
is.
it doesn't hold it. I mean, it's pure gravel up there.
So
It's got a perk unbelievable.
I apologize, there was probably at least two conversations going here at the same time, if not three.
Yeah.
So I don't like doing that, so I apologize, both you and to whoever is having a great time watching us on TV. I was just asking, I'm trying to get my head around what the Riverfront Act requires. And we think we know, but we're not quite sure, so we're not gonna close it tonight anyway.
Yeah, right.
But next time, check with the DP, just to make sure we're reading the regs right.
Okay.
We didn't wanna go at this.
So, yeah,
No,
and-
that's fine.
I'd like to see it with Carl and see that depth in person.
Oh, you wanna go out to the site?
I would love to have another site.
Oh,
You're
okay.
local, right?
Sure.
Is that a problem?
How do you wanna do it?
sometime in the next 2 weeks?
Not tonight, I had a long trip yesterday, but anytime soon. I just wanna understand it, that I'm not opposed to the concept.
Is it,
I want to make sure that with your development, that hillside is protected. That is my main interest.
One of the things that we could consider is a small retention area outside where the perimeter drain leaves the wall, a small retention area, so that the water build up and
How to disperse it.
that would work well, and it'd be an inexpensive fix.
Yes, Jim, go ahead.
I was wondering, Carl, if you could give us an elevation as well,
of,
the backside there, so we can see
The elevations are on the map.
what the but have it from a drawing side, all we're seeing is.
yeah, the flat side, I see what you mean.
If possible, I don't wanna put you in, if any.
No, I can't see why they can't do that.
You're asking for like a side profile?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
an engineer, and
So, you know,
Have you
have
been
you
to the
seen the
site?
other one?
I've been to the other, all around this site, and I've seen here, and then I haven't seen it since they
So,
turned the house.
So
I
this-
saw it,
so this house, I didn't really put it up, I'm sorry,
yeah.
is a total walkout. But I have a wall there, similar to what I'm putting over there. So if you go there and take a look at this, you'll have an idea, a real visual, because this is a total walkout. And halfway down the back of this
Yeah.
house, there's another wall and another
And I
wall.
appreciate that, thank you. And I got the perspective from up here, looking down. I just wanna.
No, I'm
with you. Looking up.
No, I don't blame it. I don't blame it. Do we wanna try to schedule one, or do we wanna just go out there willy-nilly as we can individually?
I'll schedule one with
Okay.
Carl and then so he's available for any questions that might come up or.
That'd be better if all of us that were concerned went out there at the same
I
time.
agree. Just in case, 'cause it seems that most often, it's probably myself and Stephanie the ones that have the most difficult time getting to, at least myself.
Pick your times.
Um,
We're good.
Yeah, no, well, I would ask Nick to try to schedule it, and I'll do my best to come. If I can't, I may end up just going out.
Do
Looking at it
we
myself.
wanna, I mean, 4th of July is next week.
Right,
Do
yeah.
we wanna do it?
It'll be after,
Okay.
after 4th of July, yeah.
Before the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, the next meeting's the 11th.
yeah, right. So
No,
we could
I thought the 17th.
No, it's the 11th.
About the 11th.
It's the second Tuesday of July,
Right.
so that'll be
Okay.
the 11th. So we could do like, Wednesday through Friday is the 5th, 6th, 7th. So any one of those days, or even the Monday before on the 10th.
Shoot for the others.
Yeah, earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, Monday.
I'm available Monday the 10th. I won't be available
The rest of the
the
time.
rest of the week.
I could probably make Monday. I could probably make the 10th.
What time?
Earlier.
Earlier the better.
6:30.
When you're getting silly. But actually, 6:30 would work.
Light at 5.
And you said you're not available Monday,
No, Monday, Tuesdays are not ideal.
No goes.
but you're available Monday.
You have a dentist appointment that day, so I'm not sure what the hour is, but it
Okay.
won't be early in the morning.
All right, I'll get something
How
organized.
about Tuesday?
We could do Tuesday too. It'd be a little
The
late.
meeting's Tuesday night, so.
Yeah.
I'm not available that morning.
Okay.
Not 8 to 11, I'm not available.
I would be willing to do 2 as well, if everyone really wants to lay eyes on the site and be there when
Two
Carl's
site
there.
visits?
Yeah,
Yeah, Monday morning would be better for me.
if there's a strong preference for everyone to have a chance to go and ask Carl questions on
I
site.
do.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll, I'll-
If,
Do what we need
if everyone else can go Monday, I'm okay with deferring to what the
I
rest of the
cannot.
commission.
I need it.
Oh, okay.
I'll try and get it for the end of next week sometime. But I'll be in touch. I'll start organizing that
The
tomorrow.
end of next week will not work for me. Thursday and Friday are right out.
Okay.
But again,
But would you possibly be available for one visit next week and then maybe
I'm
another
away for a
one?
week, it's leaving tomorrow, I'll be back the 10th.
you'll be gone,
Okay.
So that's all I was saying, Tuesday, if Monday after lunch would be better, so I got a 2-hour ride,
Monday, the 10th after lunch.
yeah.
I could do that.
And you're not available at all Monday?
Jim?
Okay,
No, but
that's
I
if
can,
everyone else.
if everyone
I
else
think I'm
can
available, I
make
just
it,
gotta check
I
my
accept that.
Okay.
appointment in Iowa came out on my telephone this evening.
And I'm not sure when Ken and Bob are available too, so that might change things a little bit, but,
Well, if you wanna do a couple, we can do Tuesday
Yeah,
also.
try a couple.
okay,
Good.
yeah.
So in the meantime, if you could reach out to DEP about the Riverfront Act as well,
Yeah.
so I get some clarification on that.
And the final.
Just to summarize that, just so it's on the record, so you understand what the concern is. With the Riverfront Protection Act, it allows for a subdivision development in the riverfront area.
Which is 200 feet from the river, from the Leominster Brook.
Yeah, so in the area between 200 feet up to the stream edge, up to 10% of the riverfront area in that parcel can be developed, or up to 5,000 square feet of the riverfront area of that parcel, whichever is greater. So it appears that your number would be the 10%, because it's greater than 5,000 square feet, but what you have out right now, it's developing like 25% of the lot, so which is more than 10%.
The way we're reading the numbers, so we just want to get
Yeah.
some clarification from DEP.
But that might change thing, because I think it changes depending on when the lot was subdivided, and I know it was subdivided back in the 40s.
Yeah.
So that could change things, so I'm just gonna reach out and double check that, make sure we're not doing anything we're not supposed to be, but, yeah. So I'll be in touch with, the site visits, site visits, and I'll look into the riverfront question
Yeah.
and all that, but
Thank
other
you.
than that, I would recommend,
Any questions for us?
No, I'm good.
yeah, so,
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
This process.
No, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So based
We'll get it
on,
right, we'll get it done.
yeah, so if there's not anything else, based on the proceedings of this and the fact that we don't have a comment or file number from DEP, I would recommend that we continue the hearing until July 11th.
11th, okay, so
Yes.
I'll request a motion to continue the hearing for, this particular case.
Yeah.
Would like to read the whole thing?
Okay.
To July 11th.
So-
In a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Jim Chambers. Excuse me, and Stephanie Quinlan
Aye.
and Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Alright, motion passes 5-0.
So we're gonna shoot for a Monday afternoon, the 10th?
I'll be in touch for like that Monday, Tuesday. We might have one or two visits.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it Monday and Tuesday, I'll be
Right.
down anyways.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're gonna do two of them? Monday and Tuesday?
Yeah.
What a guy.
I'm here already, what's the difference?
Yeah,
All right.
Thank you, Carl.
you must really
Okay.
like this call.
You
As
know,
soon as you all say yes, I'll love it.
You say you don't have to answer that yet.
Awesome, so we'll see you on the 11th.
Okay, have a great Fourth,
Thank you,
everybody.
Carl.
Awesome,
Thank
happy
you.
4th.
Thanks.
Take care.
And I'm just calling Jeff, thank Carl.
I will.
I don't know who Jeff is. All right, so I assume we're not gonna be, doing
So I'll just,
445 North.
yeah, I'll just give a brief update
Okay.
because some of us.
Do I need to read into the record? Probably not.
We're not deliberating on it really, I'll just say
Yeah.
a quick piece about it, like,
Okay.
unless you would,
Yes.
If I may, if we did read it into the record, then the other commissioners would need to go back and review that video. So I was gonna ask whether you and Stephanie had a chance to, you were gonna remind them that they needed to do that to vote on this.
Yeah, well,
Right?
yes.
So we're not voting tonight, but there was a little discussion, we
Yes.
opened it at the last meeting, and I know you're interested in this one. So please go back, it's in about 20 minutes after or something, it's not long.
Okay.
But you guys, you two would need to look at it, it's my understanding to vote on, it. We have to watch every one of them.
Yeah, if there's.
Well, I've been to all of them except for the last one.
Except the last one, I think it's not that long, because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
But we did open it
Yeah.
formally.
Okay, good point.
Good point,
Okay.
thank you, Rich, thank you for that. So, without opening it, just giving a brief summary so everyone knows where we stand. I was in touch with, Phil Samos, the property owner of 445 North Street, and the property owner of the parcel just to the north of him, owned by Mr. Alan Quattrali, about the work that Mr. Samos had done on Mr. Quattrali's lands. There was some back and forth as to how the both of them were gonna proceed with that, because the property still belongs to Quattrali, even though Samos has done some of his work on there. And The last thing I heard from Mr. Quastrali is that he would not like to permit any activity on his land as it stands today. And Phil was amenable to that, but he said that he was still interested in pursuing possibly purchasing that land from Alan. So he's in the process right now of trying to get in touch with different appraisers and seeing what that might cost, what it might entail. So he's still considering purchasing that land, in which case we could permit activity on that parcel, but if he decides, I'm gonna have him come up with some decision by the next meeting, because this has been going on for a really long
And
time.
who is he?
Phil Samos, the owner of 445 North Street. I'm gonna have him come up with a final decision and be ready to draft a final proposal for us for what he would like to get permitted for the next meeting.
Is Mr. Catrali requiring him to repair the work that he's done?
Yeah, so he's gonna be asking him to remove anything that was built on there, which would be like the raised garden bed he has, and part of his like patio was built on that parcel as well, so he'd have to remove some of that.
What about the stuff that was pushed back into the,
And I was just gonna get to that. There's a bunch of like broken up concrete and rocks and just like earth that's kind of mounded up in the back of the work site. That is on Mr. Quastrali's land, so he would.
so
ask-
Philip would have to come to us for a order of condition to remove that, right?
Yes, but we could issue him an emergency certification to just allow him to do that.
Okay.
Real quick, so we don't get tied up in like weeks of hearings and public notices and all that stuff. But we can decide how to proceed with that once we get more information. So that's where we're at.
Alright,
I'd
so,
like to add something to that, please.
yeah, please.
Chair. Reading through the minutes from the meeting on May 9th, assuming this part is accurate, the motion was made to continue this hearing until after Mr. Samos is able to hire a wetland consultant to produce professional maps showing the location of wetland flagging and the proposed new coop location. And Commissioner Quinlan seconded that and it passed 6-0. He did not come back with a professionally flagged.
He had a map with a red line drawn on it.
He came back with a map with he came back with his 50 feet, marks, which were whatever they actually were. I don't believe he went, did he go and have a wetland
Not
professional
actually.
consultant do that?
No, so.
So we're supposed to stay continued until he does that.
It's true.
So theoretically, maybe I shouldn't have opened that last meeting because that condition was not
Yeah.
held. But I guess if he does it, we're still gonna open it. But just
Yeah.
FYI, that was a
Yeah, I
condition.
appreciate you bringing it up. I read that in the minutes today too, and it didn't occur to me.
Okay, so I'll check into what, like, the technicalities of how we would proceed in that situation where we decided to continue a meeting until some such event happens, and then we later decided, because my impression was that we had later decided that would be too much of an imposition and that he may be able to move the area.
We didn't re-motion that. That was the motion that night, according to the minutes. Not to question other parts of the minutes,
Right.
as you recall.
Right.
So that's what it says. That must have been what we did, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So just, we can still open it, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point being, the lines he's drawn are indicative of, what I recall, was of the riverside, not to the wetland itself,
So to the stream, right?
to the stream. And Commissioner Quinlan had emphasized she was as much interested, or more so, in the 50 feet from the wetland boundary, not just, and the 50 feet's a compromise, not just from the top of the riverside.
Right.
That correction's still
Yes.
in the minutes. So with that in mind, he has not fulfilled that condition, and I find if he comes back and proposes this without doing so, rather disrespectful of our motion and the commission's request.
Yeah.
So you might remind him of that.
I believe it was his opinion that 50 feet from the stream and 50 feet from the wetland was the same delineation.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if that was his contention.
Yeah.
I might be
I thought that
misremembering.
the original wetland map was just like hugged right to the stream. that there was no other indication of wetland on the property away from that boundary.
Well, at this point, it has to be based on hydric soils.
That
Plants are all gone.
is why I was asking what the original delineation was based on, because if it wasn't hydric soils, I would like it evaluated by someone who understands hydric soils to determine what the wetland boundary is.
Yeah.
Because we could be allowing a coop literally in a wetland.
True. Which we have a record of not
Proposal,
wanting.
Yeah.
yes. But it's that close. So we're trying to hold back that.
In a wetland to 20 feet from a stream.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify that point.
Jim?
Well, I just have a question about the parcel now owned by, we've now determined to be owned by Mr. Cottrell. If there's an enforcement, isn't an enforcement normally as a property owner or is the person that
That's where I was going.
did it?
Yeah.
Well, if you, I'm not a lawyer on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know my yard.
Great
Wait,
question.
go get it.
I don't even play a lawyer on TV.
I'd have to take a look at the actual form itself, but I think there may be a space for, like, this is being issued to whoever, and then there's a separate line for, like, property owner if it's a different person.
I mean, it's a common sense situation. If Mr. Simos did do something that violates the act on someone else's property, he should be held
He's
responsible.
Correct.
We would stick.
Whether he'd fight that, seems to be a pretty reasonable guy that made a mistake.
Right.
So I would say if we just took a common sense approach to it.
Yes, I understand that and I believe that, but nevertheless, when you direct a notice of violation or whatever, it's normally towards the property owner.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but that's nothing we're gonna resolve tonight, but it's certainly something to consider going forward, absolutely.
And the law does say any person, it doesn't say any property owner. So
Yeah.
the person is, who is subject.
Well, that was a great conversation for
Call on
not
their
opening the.
I'm gonna suggest people watch this anyhow.
Yeah.
Just to be sure, but even though we technically didn't open it, just because there was a little bit of,
Good idea.
a fair amount of discussion here.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right, let's move on from that. So they haven't even opened it yet. All right. So moving on to under the regular meeting. Nothing under certificate of compliance. Extension permits, Hillary Road 7A lot.
Yes.
So this is one that I was not part of the discussion last week, so I didn't watch it, so if there's any vote, I will
Yes. So,
abstain, as it were.
Was this discussed last week, or is this the extension that was discussed a couple weeks ago from the property owners that ended up not?
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, the property owners who were looking for the extension.
so they made a comment in one of the hearings when we were talking about the Harwood Terrace enforcements, because they were one of the abutters that came, and they made a verbal request for an extension in the meeting. But we didn't talk about it at all, other than the last meeting we had.
So they haven't filed a formal request.
They have sent me an email since then requesting that, so that was,
So this
So
is,
it was open and discussed last hearing, so,
Okay.
yes.
right, that's what I was getting at, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And it is the same parcel.
it is that empty parcel on Hillary between 32 and 50.
the one they tried to sell, it didn't sell.
They've had a couple builders drop out of contracts, yeah, because of the ongoing issues here. But they do have an existing order, which is why they requested an extension. And so I presented that at the last meeting on the 13th, June 13th here. And I had recommended, per DEP's recommendation, that we request, because the original order for this was granted, where does it say? It was back in 2019, was when the original flagging was done.
Yeah.
So since it was greater than 3 years ago, DEP suggested, if anything, just maybe have them hire somebody to reflag. I mentioned that at the meeting last time, and the commission agreed that it would be acceptable for just myself to go out there and reflag it kind of informally, because I'm not a wetland scientist, but just to reflag it because they've already had it flagged, we didn't wanna force them to pay for a new reflagging, cause most of them were up, and I was just kind of double checking it, so. I walked the site, last Friday, I believe, and hung, 11 to 12 flags from the street along the boundary here. The only difference with their flagging that I have, like, it pretty much matched, from what I could tell on the ground and looking at the plans, it matched with their original flagging. The only difference was that their flag line continued off up this intermittent stream that starts at on the Harwood Terrace property. There's also this other drainage kind of gully that runs next to this one, runs into it, that was not flagged. That's not a jurisdictional stream because it's dry almost all the time, but I just ran some flagging up there just to make it a little more obvious to people who are building on there, like this is a drainage gully, like this does get wet. I told the property owners that, but beyond that I broadly agreed with their flagging as it stands. So with all that, I would recommend that we grant their extension permit for an additional 3 years past their expiration date, which I don't have committed to memory, but I've written down.
If I may?
Yeah.
That was not, this discussion, well, what was discussed at the last meeting was not opened as a hearing. So I'm not
Oh.
sure that
Oh.
anyone is barred from voting on it tonight.
Okay.
There's nothing that was presented last time that we haven't heard today, I believe. Just in concept.
Yeah.
And you all were here, I think, for the original plea from those.
But so chances are, sometimes even if I voted, it's not gonna, it probably won't change the, I'll find
So
out anyway.
so it's up to you whether to abstain or not, so.
Yeah, please.
The original flag line.
So I
Oh, something.
browsed the engineering documents that were submitted about Harwood Terrace, and they were talking about investigating actually, I can't remember how much they went into this, but I do think that it's worth noting that there is an established overtax on the sewer system that exists,
I'm sorry, and established what on the sewer system?
but it's overtaxed. There's,
Yes.
Yes.
There's too much water coming into that two-little system.
yes.
Right.
You're saying the sewer
Storm-
system or the storm water?
The stormwater system,
Okay.
okay.
It's probably not a CSO up there either.
Discussing.
Because these are private septic.
Oh.
We were looking at merely giving a 3-year extension to the couple who couldn't sell the property.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if considering all of the water management issues that are right there, that it would be fair to future owners of that property to say that this is a totally fine developable lot.
We're not
That,
saying.
I don't know if we're saying.
I agree with
We're giving them 3 years to make it so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what we'd be saying.
They have a plan that was previously approved by this commission.
Right.
In a different form,
Mhm.
and the question is, have we totally,
And it's a buildable lot,
it's available out, have we changed that?
but I agree with you. I'll ask this question, is there a way that we can condition it? That we can condition the extension if the current owners build there, but if they were to want to sell the property, they would have to come back and we'd have to revisit it. Because I agree with Stephanie that if I were them, I'd be looking to lose this really fast. And
Well, selling it doesn't create, that's not an action that falls under, so it's when that new owner would apply to do an action, that would then
Yeah.
fall under.
I'm not sure we could,
I'm not sure,
and
what
if
to
they're
condition that,
under
but
the
I
impression.
agree with Stephanie's concern.
yeah. No, and I do share that concern as well. I kind of went back and forth on that. I worry that
You know,
yeah, just the fact that this was approved by a previous commission and they haven't changed anything really. I understand, things have changed surrounding this project, but
But it was
has.
approved and there's
It was
no
approved
there's no
and,
reason for us not to approve, not to extend that approval.
I think the main reason to extend it is they're not creating the impact on the wetland.
No, they're
They're
not.
receiving the impact, and that's a different story. I did find it odd in the minutes where their statement was quoted, that they said that they had no idea there'd be water problems here. At the base of a very large rock mountain, where when it's wet, it's wet.
Well, you would know that, but a lot of homeowners.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, well, I guess I'm in water, so it's somewhat there, but
I don't think that's unreasonable, like.
the realtors would know it, and, yeah.
Yeah, but they
Well,
don't
and
always
apparently,
divulge everything.
Yeah.
apparently the neighbor knows, because both neighbors
Yeah.
on either side, because they have drainage perimeters around their property.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, is even if you walk there, you see the drains coming right out from everybody. So it's clearly a wet spot. They should have the opportunity to build or sell, and hopefully we'll come up in the next few parts with what happens to this.
Yeah, and who's to say, I mean, what the groundwater is doing necessarily, but as far as surface waters go and things that can be seen today, like the only wet areas are accurately reflected in the delineation that they have for that plan. So it only ever stays wet on that side of the lot. So they're not proposing any building or anything over there. So that's
Where the
kind of,
wetland side is.
yeah, exactly. Where this not even is like where the stream side.
Stream,
Yeah,
interim
intermittent
stream.
How that got perked, I'll never know.
Yeah, right.
I've got an underground septic plan there. Yeah, 6 feet underground. How that ever perked? But that's not us.
Well, I know, but man, at some point, if everyone just keeps saying, you know, not my problem,
It'll be,
then
Yeah,
it's
so-
gonna
somebody's
solve the
problem.
people who buy this
Oh,
house,
right.
and that is not ethical.
not in our venue, that's the trouble. I agree with you.
Well,
And
the solution is not denying this house. The solution is much bigger than that.
Right.
So we don't solve anything by saying they can't do something, or I think we
Well, I
just,
don't think we have enough to overturn a
anyway.
ruling from another commission. It's nothing.
Well, we're not overturning, we don't have to renew it.
We'd be choosing not to extend it, yeah.
Right. Then they'd have to apply again, and
So, I guess given everyone's concerns here and the fact that it's not, this isn't the last time that we could extend it, we could wait and they're not gonna run out of time before the next meeting, so.
may you extend it more than once? Can we extend for 1 year?
We could, yeah, we could extend for a certain amount of time, but.
Do we have, I mean, can we just not do anything?
Yeah, that would be, I mean,
That lets it expire.
potentially, yeah, we could
We
let
let
it
it
expire.
expire.
And they've,
I don't see why we would be obligated, I don't know if we would be obligated necessarily
I think
to,
we'd be obligated to vote on it.
to acknowledge it, yeah, if they sent the request in.
Yeah, good point.
When is it,
So it was originally, the order was granted in September of 2019. So that would take it to September 2022, but with the COVID extension, that tacked on an extra 462, so then that would be September of 23 plus a little bit, so like spring of next year.
and you're gonna talk about some of the consulting services that could help this situation?
So that's the next thing we're gonna be
Next
talking
item,
about
yeah.
is picking,
Uh,
potentially picking a consultant for.
My suggestion would be let's leave it alone.
We're not on that subject yet.
Oh, no.
Let's finish this one first.
No, that's what I was talking about, the extension.
Leave the
okay, I'm
extension,
sorry,
not
I
extend.
misinterpreted.
So what do you mean by leave it alone?
Just,
Let it expire.
Let it expire.
Let me,
I would vote to extend it for the reasons that this is not the problem. I don't see any reason not to extend it.
Are we allowed to like request justification from other departments for what they have allowed? Or is it like on us to like
I mean,
review those
well,
records?
So those are some of the conversations that Nick can have with other people.
Yeah,
How-
if you're,
how
I could
about
always ask.
How about this question? I mean, I cannot see of any reason that this would perk now. Could we request the extension be subject to a new perk test?
They're putting in a septic there.
Yeah, but it's, yeah, right on the road, and it's 6 feet. It's actually, yeah, 2 feet below the foundation of the house.
So I know for delineations, when it's over 3 years old, it's in our, it's in our purview to request a new delineation be done because those boundaries are fluid and can change.
Mhm.
I don't know if the same stands for a perk test necessarily because the soils aren't probably gonna be changing that much over 3 years.
So an option for us
But
tonight,
I'll ask.
an option for us tonight is to take no action tonight
Yeah,
while Nick
I'll look
gathers
at this.
more information.
Yeah.
So that is an option for us tonight.
Yeah, because
But
I agree with Rich, I don't think there's any reason that we can really overrule them, unless we've got some good reason.
Right.
We don't
But I
have,
agree.
we don't have to agree, we can let that end.
But I mean, I do agree with Stephanie that I'd be in an awful rush to get rid of that piece of property right now.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would wanna act as if I was going to purchase that property.
Right. But then there's also the interest of, which isn't necessarily in our purview, but if we're talking about fairness, we have to consider the people that own it, that have
Been paying
received an
taxes.
order and
Yeah,
have the
let's,
expectation that this
That's
is a
right.
buildable lot.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right, you're absolutely right.
So that's the struggle here, I understand the struggle.
So I think we've kind of covered the bases here. Let me go ahead and ask for a motion. I'll the obvious one. I'll entertain a motion to extend the notice of intent, the NOI, right?
Extend the order.
The order of condition, I'm sorry. I'll accept the motion to extend the order of conditions for Hillary Road 7A lot.
For how long a period?
For, oh yeah.
For a year. Well, we don't need to do this, I mean, are you just
No,
saying?
I want to try
Try
to.
to do so official.
Right,
Yeah, for
Yeah,
3
try to
years.
move
So-
forward.
For 3
Okay.
years.
So could I make one if we?
You may.
So we're about to discuss something that could have an impact on all of this.
Uh-huh.
Could we take a vote just to postpone this decision for the extension?
Well, no,
Until after we,
let me see if there's a motion to do what they're asking us to do first. And if that doesn't pass, then we'll draw back 5 and do something else.
They've made a request.
They've made a request.
And asked for
Yeah.
a decision.
Mhm.
We could delay.
So I'd like to get a decision on their request first.
in their best interest, I think it would be in their best interest to wait until we see if there's a solution to the problem, which could greatly increase their.
And you can make your opinion known by voting no on the motion.
Okay.
So,
Um,
correct?
I was gonna say, actually, I meant to check this before today, I'm not actually totally sure. I think you can, we don't have to wait for you to solicit a motion.
Okay.
So like, you could make a motion to just like continue this until after, or whatever you wanna say.
We discussed this last time, they like the chair making guidance, that's what I heard when I questioned the same thing 2 weeks ago.
So let me just continue as I was going, and we'll make our voices known with the
Yep.
votes. So I'll entertain a motion to extend the order of conditions for Hillary Road 7A lot for 3 years.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second? Okay, well, that motion did not pass. Thank you.
Well, give it a second.
Come on. Typically people are checking over themselves trying to second. So, okay, is there a second? Okay, there's not a second, so we'll then,
So we can just wait until, I'll check on some of these concerns,
Okay.
by the next meeting and
Okay.
pick it up from there.
all right, so is that the extent of something official, Shay? Do I need to ask for another?
It's not technically a hearing
Okay,
that we voted.
okay,
so-
all right.
But following up on those concerns, do we mean, with the health department? And is that it?
I will follow up with the health department if they have any concerns about the septic fields, and I will be following up with DEP, whether or not we're obligated to vote on an extension, whether, once we've received it,
And
and.
perhaps the DPW,
Yeah,
if
that's
this is gonna
what I-
further overload the currently underwhelmingly performing storm drain system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to make sure.
I believe it's
Get on that
already
list.
overwhelmed.
Huh?
It's already overwhelmed.
Hold on, Jim goes hand raised, go ahead, Jim.
Sorry, Jim.
Let me get my thought back.
Oh, that happens to me all the time, don't worry about it. Do you think you'll write it down? Rich, did you have something? No, it's just. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
We're just talking about this as an ongoing activity right now. Shouldn't this be posted as a public hearing so that the property owner or something is here or not?
So that-
For our vote?
If this was the initial hearing that they were seeking an order for, they already have an existing order.
Right.
So they're just requesting an extension.
Exactly.
So that's not a new hearing.
Right. All right. So basically, the way we're leaving it is that we're just kind of leaving it alone for now.
And I'll check.
And you're gonna get more information.
I'll talk to DPW and the health
Okay.
department and
Okay.
DEP.
And it did not pass, had no seconds, and never came to a vote.
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
Before we start this next one, which might be some interesting conversation, can we take a 2-minute break?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
we can. Okay, I'll give you 5.
Ah.
Moving on, then, and related to this last one, on the communications, Harwood Terrace Mitigation Consultants. Nicholas.
Yes,
Enlighten
so I've been reaching out to various engineers that could be some potential candidates for us to do the third-party analysis and review of the stormwater system and possible mitigations on Harwood Terrace. I have heard back from 2 that you have in front of you or that you've seen on the drive. That was from John Bobrek, I believe, and Bruce Jacobs. And they each list what is included or what would be included in their preliminary plan here. And I believe they both allow for some additions or alterations once they do come and meet with us. I was under the impression that we needed to pick 3 to present, but I was incorrect in that. When a third-party consultant is needed for review, such as this, and that review requires some type of license, like a professional engineering license or something like that, it's not just something that anyone can do, that removes the need to get up to 3 candidates. So I could present you guys with 1, 2, a bunch. And the other thing is when that happens, that removes the need to put the job up for bid. So we don't need to put it up for bid.
Well below the cost limits.
Yes, yeah. And we don't need to come up with a 3rd candidate. So I thought yesterday that I might not be ready to show these to you guys and for us to make a decision, but if you're ready with everyone here to make the decision, we could go forward with that. If you would feel more comfortable waiting until there's other people on the commission present to make this decision, I think that might be appropriate as well. But I'll leave it up to you. I want to hear what people think if you've had a chance to review them, if you have any strong preferences or would like to see anything added, maybe I could talk to them.
Just a couple of quick comments. I don't see, I'm looking at Mr.
Cobra?
Jacobs. I don't see anywhere here where he would be interfacing at all with the DPW. Make sure, I think that's gotta be in here somewhere.
Okay.
What's the house, the other one? DPW,
This is the Jacobs one?
this is the Jacobs one, yes. And
Nick, do you have another copy of those printouts? I reviewed them quickly earlier, but.
I lost my train of thought, so if somebody else wants to go, please do so.
The what's the coordination with DPW exactly? Because this site did not involve any connection to the city storm sewer.
Yes.
I thought the whole road floods,
This,
the whole like area floods.
It's
This was,
not a direct connection.
We were-
But it's a stormwater management issue.
They still approved it? DPW reviewed this original?
so we are the stormwater authority according to the ordinance, the local ordinance, that's in place. However,
Stormwater ordinance. not
yeah, the
the
stormwater ordinance, but that is delegated to DPW as well. So I don't know anything about the local stormwater reviews, as far as I understand it. DPW is supposed to be doing that, because we haven't been doing anything like that. We just do the state forms here.
But any improvements to surface drainage, we're gonna have to go to the DPW anyway, right? Whether it's increasing sizes of pipes that may not be there, or adding new ones or something, I see DPW as being a critical part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but there's my caution or resistance, and part of this is the city needs to look at that whole, the lower street in total.
Mhm.
This property, this action should not take over that responsibility. This needs to be very specifically about this site alone.
Yeah.
And that Mr. Brennicky is,
All right, I see what
does
you're
not get pushed to solve a problem that has already existed.
I see what you mean, gotcha, all right.
If I can continue a little, since I'm running here.
I agree.
On one of these here, it's Mr. Jacobs, I guess, Jacobs, I think. But it mentions Miss Moses and the 32 Hillary Road.
Yeah.
When we were there, we learned that this water's coming in a pipe in the basement, coming from the
Coming
storm
back,
sewer thing.
back
And
in
it's
from the
not
storm drain.
related to this action.
well,
No,
actually
but
from
they're saying that it's
a cistern
related.
that they had to hold water with a,
Yeah, right into the storm system, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't spend all that money to put in a 10-inch pipe coming from the basement
Yeah.
directly to a cistern to go into the storm if they didn't have water from the start.
More than dampness.
More than damage.
Despite, neighbors and them saying otherwise. This gentleman did not find the cistern,
Right.
or whatever we're calling it,
Well-
storage tank, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you please go ahead.
Oh, that was one of the things, and keeping these separate. So what is our purpose exactly, is to do a double check on what Hannigan's coming up with?
If we're limiting it to the Hillary, to the Harwood Terrace Hillary Road connection, yes,
And the
that's what I see.
violation
Yeah.
that came about, that's what I believe we
Right.
need to restrict it
Right.
to, and push for a
I agree.
second thing that the city was already supposed to be working on,
The area-wide one.
as to the whole area-wide
Right.
thing, and where's that gonna come from?
Yeah.
So
Is
go ahead.
the violation that connects these two issues, what you're talking about, how you're not allowed to develop a property in such a way that it increases the stormwater drainage that goes onto other people's property.
Right.
It was specifically, Nick, the washout, right?
It
A
was,
very specific
that-
part of it.
that's what precipitated the violation, was the washout of the intermittent stream overflowing its
What we did
banks.
with that log falling across the road.
Yeah, that was above, it was still on, Brennicky's property, but it was above 50 Hillary, just to give people an idea.
So first thing, I wouldn't mind having these two gentlemen in and to ask them, because we can sit here and deliberate these two proposals, but we need to get them in front of us. I assume that's the next step in this process, correct?
As far as I understand, we solicit the proposals from them, and then we pick a candidate off of that.
Oh,
And then
okay.
they would come, and that's part of what we would be purchasing, is
Okay.
them coming to the meeting and discussing exactly what we wanna do.
Okay, so the next step is not to have both of them here.
No.
The next step is to pick one and then have one, and then we'll kind of fine tune their proposals.
Yep.
Their proposal,
Mhm.
okay.
You could see both if you wanted, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
You can pick one to go with. I guess I'm just leaning against, I'm not sure. And one of them certainly includes more design aspect.
Mhm.
So that's the one for boat rec.
Mhm.
which I like, but are we gonna get enough redesign from Hannigan? Is that gonna work? Are we gonna wait until we see the results of the changes that are made before we take more action?
Yeah, I think that myself.
Got rid of the blockage.
I don't-
Is that enough?
I don't see design as being part of this effort at this stage.
I know, well, it
I
is
see
in
it.
this one.
No, I know, it's included, but I don't know if we need to. Jim?
Well, I think the Bobrek proposal is trying to assess the overall situation and particularly the stormwater drainage system and the effects on that whole area. I find this letter by Jacobs, mailed to Councilor Pedanza, to be somewhat pointed in the direction of trying to point the blame on Mr. Branke for all this happening. And I don't think that's the case. I think there is some stormwater that scoured the hill. But the amount of water that got into Mrs. Moses' house, it was not a result of that scouring, in my opinion.
Yeah, those are two separate.
And frankly, the Jacobs letter seems to be aiming towards pinning
Yeah.
all of this on Mr. Branke.
I was gonna bring up the same thing, thank you, Jim.
I was
If I could.
saying the same without saying the same.
Yeah.
By pointing out that they're blaming the basement when there's a pipe in
There's
the wall.
some preconceived notions in here that are gonna come up with a conclusion.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do that, and if you don't want design, then you don't want the other,
Yeah,
So I think
as written.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need design at this stage. We may in the future, or what I see is the recommendations from this assessment will play into any redesign of Mr. Brennicke's downslope issues.
What I would be willing to support and spend money on, I guess, would be, and consultants don't always like to do this, just go out for one site walk and a quick memo about it, because they give off much of their expertise at normal hourly rate, not getting design work and report writing work that follows it.
Mhm.
But I do these trying to get work. If we can get somebody to go out, you bill a day's worth. That's it, $1,500, $1,000 to go out for a day. Look at what's done, look at the plans, and come up with something that's pretty quick. Thumbs up, thumbs down, is this looking good or not? Otherwise, we're gonna end up, this might become a rabbit hole that we end up, have we done enough yet? Are we redesigning? Why are we paying for the redesign? Versus the the applicant paying for the redesign if one's needed. So
Yeah, no,
it's
yeah,
a review, it's really a review of the engineering work.
Agreed,
Yeah,
agreed.
well, we can probably just ask him, for task one, like just the evaluation.
Yes, could do that,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Correct, yeah. We don't need design, right?
So based on the results of task one, I would be interested in securing some sort of mitigation designs from him. Because it was my understanding that this commission was willing to spend money on an analysis, check the work of the original engineers, and also come up with possible mitigation that the applicant would then have to fund and implement.
Okay, so maybe we pay for part one and he pays for task two.
That's it?
No, I think she's
No,
saying we
that's-
already
yeah,
committed
yeah, we're-
to paying for both parts, and he is responsible for implementing them.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can get the design, or like a suggestion of a design from
Well,
him.
because, and the redesign may involve the DPW as far as redesigning the storm drainage system to allow for all that water that's coming off the hill to go somewhere.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, personally, I think instead of evaluation and redesign, I would prefer to see evaluation and recommendations.
Right.
Right.
Conceptual
Conceptual,
recommendation.
right, exactly, conceptual,
That's how I
right,
think of it.
right, yep.
And then just, because you don't want to have somebody designing something until we think, oh, that's really where we want to go. So you'd have to stop at that phase anyways. Take care of the first part. But I would commit something, but I want to see what the city is doing,
Conceptual
looking at the other angle. And without looking at that, it tends to somehow, in my mind, the blame gets more so on this one applicant if the city doesn't go in and look at that. Because we know everyone's got problems around here.
Yeah, but people didn't have problems before fall of 2022, and that's why it's hard to separate these issues.
Yeah, I think my guess is all of us have some type of opinion that it seems to be some level of unfortunate circumstance, unfortunate coincidence.
I think that, go ahead, Jim.
I think they all did have problems, and you can see that in the way they designed their property to accommodate the water coming down the hill.
Yeah.
And in this case, the water overflowed, whatever we wanna call it, the well in the ground next to the storm drain. Mrs. Moses' house, sump pump pumps water to that well.
Mhm.
That well, once it reaches the drop level, it goes into the storm drain.
Goes back. Yeah, well,
There's
just-
no check valve to prevent it from backflowing into the house.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but the storm drain overflowed, so the water couldn't leave that well, and it backflowed into the house.
I think all of us have a deep,
But this,
feeling for Mrs. Moses.
yeah, but this
Right.
letter from Mr. Gacy, or Jacobs,
Dr. Jacobs.
does not, Dr. Jacobs does not reflect that, because he couldn't find it.
Right.
So I would like to just point out that, and you can see from the addressee of the one proposal that Councilors Bedanza and Angelini were the ones that reached out to Jacobs directly and secured his proposal. So that kind of reveals why, like, the focus of that proposal is a little bit more on 32 Hillary, since that
Sure.
seems to be their main concern as their one of their constituents.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys have been doing this for a long time, and they're really concerned about their constituents and try to take action.
So I don't know, this might be preemptive, but I did tell Mr. Bedanza that I would read a statement from him, just expressing his
Okay.
preference
Go ahead.
here. So I'll just read the email.
Mhm.
Nick, thank you for the opportunity to voice my support for Mr. Jacobs' proposal. As you are aware, both me and Councilor Angelini have spent considerable time searching for the best possible professional to address this problem. I have personally not only interviewed Mr. Jacobs and toured the site with him, but I have also interviewed highly respected peers of Mr. Jacobs. I can assure you that this is the worst constituent problem I have ever encountered in my nearly 10 years on the city council. The commission will be greatly aided in its discharge of responsibility regarding the stormwater problem with a skilled professional. I am aware that there is a cost difference between the two proposals, but please bear in mind that Mr. Bobrick's submittal suggests that the scope of work is yet to be fully developed. For example, bullet point 2 indicates attend meeting with conservation department staff to discuss specific city concerns to be addressed in the review. I should further clarify that our purchasing agent, Mr. Chaplain, has confirmed that both proposals are exempt from the procurement law because they are licensed engineering, or because they are for licensed engineering. Both myself and Councilor Angelini truly appreciate the efforts of yourself, the commission, and of course the mayor in furthering the process towards a solution in this very serious problem for all involved. Sincerely, Mark Bedanza, Ward 4 City Councilor.
So is it our responsibility, these are both addressed to the city council, correct?
No.
Yes, but we're, well, the one is addressed
Okay.
to city council because they were corresponding with them. The other one is addressed to me because.
Oh, all right.
Can I have name back, please, for Bobrick? I think you got my Bobrick?
No,
Are you giving it back to me?
You were making notes.
this one?
Stapled one.
No, that was the one you wrote on. Oh, it is, oh, yeah.
So that's, oops, there you go. They list, the project as Toad Mill Brook Culvert Replacement. Well, they copied the form
Yeah.
from a different client.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I haven't done it. But,
Yeah, but
to what he said, Mr. Jacobs, or Dr. Jacobs is extremely qualified.
Very.
I wondered what was odd in Bobrick's that they mentioned that they'll complete the scope of work, under time and materials, but the scope is exhausted. Another question, additional service. And what I mean by scoping is us. I mean, you complete your scope if you don't, and it was, I think it was the wrong word. I thought that I agree with the qualifications of Dr. Jacobs.
They're
It reminded
saying-
me of me going back and getting a PhD in '98, same as I did, from MIT. But this, to me, it's off target. And that the idea that we're solving something that we already know the answer for, to bring in a PhD to show us the water's coming in from the hole in the wall that she said, that's not
Yeah,
good use of city money.
Yeah, honestly, I just,
Well,
I
that's
do
not the
agree that
problem
this
solved.
is the DPW issue, and this is the stormwater
That's
management
more what
issue.
it looks like, that one's
Yeah.
more, yes.
yeah, no,
Thank you,
personally,
Scott.
I am more in favor of Dr. Jacobs
I could do part one of,
or part one of Mr. Bobrecht's.
Bobrecht's, I could do that. I would not want to do Dr. Jacobs's, it's not questioning his qualifications, but the direction of it isn't where I think we should go.
Yeah,
Bobrecht's
I mean,
okay.
Mrs. Moses is my least favorite phrase, like outside of our jurisdiction.
Yeah. But if it is, it is. And hers, we believe is from our site visit. Since we learned from her, then it just came into play.
So just to get a sense of the commission, are we leaning towards Mr. Bobrecht?
I was. If we were to do something.
Yeah.
To double check what was done, that,
Do we have to do anything?
no.
Okay.
Okay.
It sounds like it's based on our conversations. It sounds like it would be
Sensitive, responsive thing to do.
that'll work. That wasn't terms of, but that'll work, yeah.
That is something that we have, at least I have verbally agreed to and said, that we would be
Okay.
paying for a third
All right,
party
that's fine. Okay.
consultant.
I'll
So we do-
I'll
we are-
support that.
Yeah, so in that sense, we are obligated to do something.
Michael,
Not necessarily right now, again, if you guys wanted to wait for the opinion of others, that's fine, it's up to the commission. So if you felt like you could, if we had a majority of you that wanted to pick one,
that's
we could vote on it.
Go ahead, Jim.
Sorry.
There's been mitigation done since, how is that, how effective is it? Is that be part of the evaluation, how it's working?
So no mitigation has been implemented, the only change that happened was there was that down tree
Right,
blocking
that
the
was cool.
stream,
Oh, I
and that
thought
was
they, I
removed.
thought they put rock, they haven't done that yet.
They haven't
That
put
was a proposal.
Oh,
Yeah. They haven't.
What do they call that? The U-shaped, I forget what they call it.
level spreader.
Level spreader, yeah, thank you. Michael, you have been oddly quiet. What are you thinking in terms of, your a preference here? In terms of which one of these?
Yeah. I
Would you care
believe that
related?
I believe that the correct thing for us to do is to work with the two city councilors and Dr. Jacobs.
Why is that?
I think, because of the new stormwater ordinances, I think we found ourselves in the point of it, that we're responsible.
Crosshair?
And we're gonna get an awful lot of support from Mark Bedenza and Pete Angelini. Should we run into problems, should we start to be buffaloed by this thing, we would get a lot of assistance from them, because they think their heart and soul is in it. I do worry that there's a little bit of preconceived notion here, where the blame goes, and I think that's something that we would have to address directly with Dr. Jacobs, to say, we want you coming in here with a clean slate and a clean mind. But if we select this one, we're on our own. I've got that feeling.
As far as, helping the citizens on that street?
No, I think we would, I think we would get, I think they've spent a lot of time on this, and I think we should respect that.
I think, if I may, I think that belongs in the other section of that we're talking about, in terms of the whole citywide solution for this. That you're going down a road with that, with those two counselors, that's fixing something that's not what came from this particular applicant, in my view.
But-
Especially with the
Exactly.
emphasis on that particular house.
But I
Which is
think-
why I would resist and would vote no. I would end up voting no for, as impressed as I was with him, but this is just in the wrong direction. I respect it.
No, I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there, but we haven't talked to any of these folks. I think if we were to get, both out here and particularly Dr. Jacobs to say, we want you to come into this with a clean slate and take a look at the site, take a look at the engineering. I mean, he's still gonna have to present a solution that can be rebutted by, current engineers.
This proposal totally misses the boat by focusing on 32 Hillary. That is not a result of the property line.
And which one is
I
that?
can't support
Jacobs.
Jacobs. For that reason, it just missed the proposal.
Yeah,
If we go
I
back
don't
and
disagree with
renegotiate, that's a different thing, but I don't think we should do that. He asked for two. Was there anything in writing given the engineers? What guidance did they have to do this?
The
That they came
Jacobs,
so differently.
Jacobs was, like I said, he was contacted by Bedanza and Angelini, and they were the ones that guided
Oh,
the
yeah, no,
original drafting of this, and I got the original draft that was a little, even more kind of focused on 32 Hillary without mentioning much of the other area, so I responded to him and said that we're looking at the entirety of the Harwood Terrace site, not just it in relation to 32 Hillary. In fact, that's not even the focus because that wasn't part of the violation notice. So I asked him to revamp it, and this is the second draft that I've gotten back from him.
Oh, that troubles me more now. To start you, and in the future, next time we look at this, something needs to come out from the commission that gives a description of the project, so everyone gets the same description. This wasn't fair for somebody who wasn't part of the commission to go to the engineers and bring them in on it. With the respect to the council folks who were so concerned about it, and I love that, but it just misdirected it from what our view is as to what the
Disagree.
what the water that came over and got the house that was up 3-4 houses up.
All right, so to try to move this forward, I think we probably should I assume we should take a vote on which one we wanna hire.
Well, could I,
If any.
Yeah.
let me, I'll respond to just some things that I've heard over this. So, on the topic of bringing them in to talk to us, I agree. I think that would be very helpful and kind of the easiest thing, but I don't know if they're either of them or one or the other is necessarily free to come in.
Yeah, one's in
Because that was
Danvers and one's in Brookline, they're nowhere near us.
Yeah, and that was included in, like, the charges for their services would include them coming to the meeting and doing all that. So that would come after, we pick one. And then secondly, if the one or both of these proposals doesn't, jive very well with the commission and you'd be interested in maybe seeing an alternate proposal from one or both of them, you could let me know and I could get back to them and ask for another proposal. Because I already asked, I think I've asked both of them at least once to revise some things and give me another proposal. So I could ask that again and to ask, I'm hearing from the Jacobs proposal to shift the focus away from 32 Hillary, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume,
I think it's more technical and less anecdotal.
Yeah.
I assume that these two responses were in response to two separate requests from two separate people.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's getting that.
Yeah,
Opens
exactly.
up a can of worms,
Right.
more
So
opportunity.
I think, how about this, how about if we just take a step back, Nick sends them both the exact same information and says, please revamp your proposal if you see fit, based on this information and nothing else, or something along those lines. Does that sound?
And what information are we gonna give?
Yeah, so like,
Well, that's it.
so, yeah, what would we like to see from a third-party, consultant that's gonna be checking on this?
I think something more along the lines of Mr. Bobrecht's.
Okay, so specific points, just so I can like give them like a bullet
Yeah,
list of what we want, and I can give them each the same one.
Yeah, this needs to be focused on more on the Harwood Terrace situation than the downstream recipient ender, because they're just sitting there. This is,
And the actual
is,
violation,
I'm sorry?
the actual violation.
The actual violation, correct. The violation wasn't on Hillary Road. The violation was, if there was a violation, it was coming down off of Harwood Terrace. So I have to focus on that.
Can we have Nick check with legal? As a consultant, this is making me very uncomfortable that we're taking a proposal that was given to us and totally, like, giving a chance to totally revamp it so that meets what this other guy did. That's bothering me as a business person.
Okay.
And ethics in some sense.
Well,
This one just, I'm sorry, it wasn't close to what we looked for. We didn't ask for it.
Well,
It came from elsewhere. He asked for what?
that should stay. I mean, there are best and final requests all the time. But then most of it, that's because they need, okay, best and final means this is the cheapest you can do it. That's what it usually means. But I think in this case, because they got different requests. So they're basing their proposals on different information. So I think if we can at least get them based on proposals on the same information, I think we would better be in a better position to
Yeah,
judge.
I don't think Dr. Jacobs is incapable of being more technical.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, based on his background, I think he's more than capable of giving
Sure.
us something that is more based on like stormwater discharge
Yeah.
and how there may be related development of gradient and the effects on the system and how to resolve these issues.
Yeah, and I don't see the end point of this effort being a redesign. Like I said, I think that the end result should be conceptual level recommendations on what needs to be done, if anything. In terms of the violation.
What improvements might be necessary.
Yeah, in terms of Harwood Terrace and what's coming down there, and not Hillary Road, because the Hillary Road, once you get down there, it's a whole different situation.
That is a city issue.
Because the whole purpose of this is to see what, if anything, was done wrong on the Harwood Terrace site.
correct,
If there was something done wrong, what can he do to change it?
Correct,
Like
correct.
if we're analyzing Hillary Road, he can't do anything with that.
Right.
No,
Yes.
right, you're right.
How
That's
about,
We can only do things on his property.
Right.
would you be willing to, and if we go this route, I think we should, would you be willing to put together a page of text saying, could you please base look at your proposal and base it on this information? Would you be willing to put together 3, 4, 5 short paragraphs and just send it on to us for
It's
comment?
a request for proposals.
Right,
Well,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm sure you have experience with this, but if it's an issue, you may wanna check with the purchasing agent.
Yeah.
I've been in communication
Yeah,
with the
so
person.
to take that and draft RFP, if you will,
Mhm.
based on the information we discussed here, the information you have, and just send it on to us before the next meeting.
Right.
And
So-
then we can comment on it, and then we can come to a decision, then then you can send it back out to these
We'll
committees.
wanna edit that.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
correct, that's why I wanted to send it around.
Can I ask a question?
You may?
The most important piece of information you can give to either one of these folks is the engineering plan from,
Hannigan.
can we do that? Is that proprietary information?
No, that's
I don't think so, yeah, that's probably it, so it's been
Yeah.
presented in the public
Part of the
meeting.
NOI is public.
And
Yeah.
if that wasn't presented to either one of these folks, neither one of those proposals really,
Good point.
Correct,
how can you say?
Yeah.
you
Well,
can
they're
approve
gonna
something?
review it as part of that.
It would be part of the review.
right.
Yeah, how much they wanna review in advance is another thing. They might need to do at least some modeling and engineering work to come up with a recommendation.
But, and that was my point is, if we're not focusing on what I think the real problem is, and that's downstream and the water backing up to cause the problems on.
But that wasn't part of the violations.
No, it isn't, you're right.
Yeah.
But if they don't have that engineering drawing to see what the solution was at the outset, then.
Right.
How can they possibly
Right,
make?
yeah,
Well, they require it from us in here.
Exactly,
They're
yeah.
required.
It I didn't say that.
Yeah, it's
Once we secure
a
them.
general statement in here somewhere is that The city will provide all existing conditions, including survey, AutoCAD drawings, studies, and designs.
Yeah.
Top of page 3, second bullet. Standard line.
So does that sound okay if Nick were to send out a draft request to us, we edit and comment on it, send it back, and he sends it out?
Yes, with one major objection, that we
Please.
never do this again. It's highly improper
Yeah.
that we were soliciting engineers from different sources
Yeah.
and not with a single
Correct,
thing.
yeah.
Should not happen again.
That was,
Nick, you gotta keep.
my term
Bring
for
on
it.
It was
Yeah.
with good intent.
I should not state my opinion on that in front of this camera. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
So
But
with
the
that, I will
initials are
accept looking at
HS.
something new.
So
So-
I will, create a document on the iDrive and draft a request for proposal
Right.
to send to them. You all can double check that.
Yeah.
I would like to get this done in time for us to get proposals back and review them and be able to pick one at the next meeting.
I don't disagree. Yep.
So I'll be working on that this week, if you all could review it by Friday.
Oh, safe, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that out by tomorrow,
Okay.
and then if you all could review that and send me your edits, if any, by Friday, and then
So-
I'll send that.
So we
Will we have-
won't meet them then to decide, we will just review the new proposal?
Road trip.
Yep, we'll get the new, so I will send a single request for a proposal to the same one to the both of them.
And
In
maybe
time.
others.
And
Now,
maybe
now it's
others.
open. It's
Sure.
not just those two if we're changing our approach.
Yeah.
And so I'll send that to them by the end of this week, and hopefully they'll both, and any others would have a proposal ready for us to review and vote on for July 11th.
Correct. Sound good, everybody?
Yes.
Or we could decide that we wanna call them in and meet with them, but time will be.
Yeah.
Do you know if the city has a plan for that development that shows the stormwater, system that the builder put in for Hillary Road?
Say
When
that?
they accepted it, they would have to have a design plan, right?
For stormwater?
Say, because
Catch basins.
the builder put it in, right? And we accepted the street after that. That's the way I understand it.
Not Hillary, not
No, he's talking about.
Hillary,
the lower.
the lower one.
They put in, you're losing me, sorry.
So Hillary has a stormwater system going through it. City
That's
didn't put
View
that in.
Street.
City didn't put that in, the builders put that in when they put the
Oh,
development.
is that right?
And then the city accepted the street is the way I understand it happened.
Oh.
I don't know.
And that's part of what should come out in the investigation, and we're hearing nothing about it happening that should be pushed by this commission.
Mhm.
The one for that street that's got the problem, where it seems to me we keep diverting it
Yeah,
to
I mean,
this other guy.
because, because when we walked by those stormwater basins, they were full. Water wasn't discharging anywhere. If it can't go anywhere, it's just gonna sit
It's
and
just
saturate.
bubbling up and crossing the street.
What was that?
The water was just bubbling up out of one storm drain, crossing the street, trying to get to the other.
No. Didn't work, okay.
Backyard of the basement.
All right, good, so let's move on from this one. I think make some progress, but that was a great conversation over there, that was good information, I appreciate it. I think if we have these guys, these folks giving us the price based on the same information, I think we'll be in a much better standpoint.
And I agree with Nick, you can't wait a
No.
second longer than we have to.
Agreed, yeah. Folks, can we help you at all, or are you just our fans? I'm sorry?
I'm like you.
We've already done View Street though.
But we didn't come to a vote. on
Yeah, it was continued.
So the
Till
So public-
July
so-
11th,
Continue to 11, unless it gets continued from there, but
6 o'clock.
6
6 o'clock,
o'clock, July
yes.
11th.
yes.
Do you have, I mean, we can't ask
No,
now.
yeah, no, it's closed now, we can't,
That's
it can't be
closed, but
deliberated.
they can send something to Nick
They
to
can.
share with us.
Yep. If you have anything you wanna share with us, we've already closed it, but if you wanna send an email to Nick, the agent,
We wanna hear opinions, thoughts.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, yeah, whatever it is, we wanna hear it, okay?
Good. If you have any other questions or anything about the meetings or any other stormwater conservation issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for stopping by. All right, good. So moving on, enforcement, nothing, emergency certifications, nothing, new business, nothing, old business, Manusnock Brook E. coli. Nick and I have been going back and forth, this is an old story, you've all heard this bits and pieces before.
Yeah, so I,
So the May sampling that I did in Manusnock Brook in the same spot that I've done it for the past couple of years, in the, 15 or 20 locations that the National River Watershed Association does sampling, was the only one in May that had E. coli in the pore range. And this is all over the local National River Watershed, feeder streams and everything. Wiki Peaky Brook in Lancaster, Main Stem of Nashua were in several locations. Nissitissit up in Pepperell was the only one that had E. coli in the pore range. So we need to try to get a hold of this and figure out what's going on. So
Yep.
so I've been in touch with the association. They've been in touch with DPW and Nick. So Nick, why don't you go ahead?
So yeah, I gave a brief update at the last meeting, and I caught Chuck up with that on a phone call earlier, so nothing has really happened. I found out the owner of the building in question that is built over top Manusnock Brook, that you might recall, that's, I think it's 85 Water Street.
I'll look that up, go ahead.
But in any case, I think it's 85 Water Street, but it's owned by Anthony Mazzaferro, who lives in Westminster, so I'm in contact with people in Westminster trying to get a phone number for him and get in touch with him so that DPW can get access to the building and underneath the building to do whatever testing in whatever locations they find, fit.
Isn't it usually just dye?
They've done dye testing before.
They've done DNA testing as well.
But they want to get in and test specific points along the brook for E. coli and see where they keep going up and when they drop off to find
No,
the
it
source.
makes total sense.
Yeah,
But I thought we'd done all of that.
they've done a lot. They've done a ton of dye testing and things, and they've never been able to find anything conclusive. So
The dye test, to win with that, you've got to happen to luck out into testing that spot. This way they'll at least find the close location.
yeah,
They just have to
So
sample.
it's not coming from wastewater? It's not coming,
none of the sewer pipes that they've tested so far.
But it is human source.
It's human
They said-
wastewater.
Yeah.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Hey, no, who could say it's not?
Me,
Oh, okay.
go on.
So yeah, so that's
He's in the.
where we're at right now. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to get in touch with the property owner still, and then DPW to do further
Right.
testing.
Right, and like I said, the woman, Jessica, from the Watershed Association, she's been in touch with Nick and with the DPW as well, so. It's an ongoing thing, hopefully we'll get some conclusion, hopefully this year, and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
I'm hopeful. I was hoping to get in touch with the property owner by today, and that's why I put it on the agenda,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm anticipating. getting
Okay,
in touch with
all
him.
right, so, any questions? No, okay, cool. All right, budget, nothing under that, meeting minutes.
So we'll skip May 9th, because I have dropped the ball on that.
Oh,
Rich had
okay.
given me the paper edits, and I haven't
Oh, okay,
incorporated those.
all right, so, all right.
Yeah.
So, did everybody get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So, make a motion to accept the edited and amended minutes for May 23rd, 2023.
So made.
Second? Thanks, Jim.
I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Alright, minutes accepted.
All right, and I'll also accept a motion to accept the minutes as edited / amended by the commission for December 13th, 2022.
So made.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Jim Chambers.
Abstain, I wasn't part of it.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Good one.
very good. You're on it, Jim. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
It was interesting, look at those from 6 months ago. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's even better watching the video.
Oh, I bet. Brilliant.
Oh,
Brilliant. Okay. All right, I think we're good, get those out of the way, and nice work, Nick, thank you. It's good to get a couple of those out of the way each meeting, so that's,
Yeah.
get rid of that
We're
backlog.
catching up, we have like 4 or so backlog left, but
Good,
Yeah.
done right.
almost up to date.
Good.
May I request that the very most recent one is done for the next meetings?
This one and the last
Well,
one in
the
June?
June 13th, for example, could have been, that should,
Yeah.
tonight's would be your first priority,
Right.
followed by June 13th.
Right.
Go ahead.
My
Other than
aim,
May 9th.
my aim going forward is to get, the 2 meetings from the previous month done like by the last week of that month. So I'm hoping to get this meeting and the last meeting done
Mhm.
like by the end of this week, so
I'm hoping in the future that by each meeting you'll have the last one.
that's quite ambitious.
It is highly ambitious, and I am fully confident that you will meet those expectations.
He's already gotta sit through every meeting twice.
He's doing good ones, he's keeping them short. But then the reason for this is that it's freshest for us,
Yeah.
Understood.
because we wait 2 more weeks and it's a whole
Play
different
the
story.
tape to AI, it'll give you back the minutes.
Yeah, well,
There we go. But anyway, catching up, this is good, thank you.
So moving on to the last open item, active item, whatever you wanna call it, on the agenda, the wetland ordinance. Open discussion on ordinance planning. I've sent an email to MACC, they weren't all that helpful, other than recommending us buying for $15 their guidance, which I'm trying to do, but I for some reason I can't log into their site, so I've got to get a help from Lindsay, I think, Bartucci, yeah.
Oh,
I saw that,
uh-huh,
yes.
yeah, I don't have a problem logging in if you need someone to buy it on your behalf.
But you should have gotten it at a reduced rate and tax-free.
That was the reduced rate.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like $70 if you're not on the commission.
I thought it was $15 if you're on the commission.
No, it's 20.
Okay.
Maybe it's 15 if you're
You know
the
somebody.
agent.
Is that a sample ordinance?
What's that?
What is it, a sample
I'm
ordinance?
wondering.
No, that was for the environmental handbook.
I tried logging in, but it said I need some code, and I don't know
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
to find the
So,
code.
so I'm just gonna, I'll, based on what I find from Lindsay Bartucci, I'll let you know.
It's a little confusing, but if you get in touch with them on the phone,
Yeah.
you're pretty good at helping you
Yeah.
out.
All commission members, when they join the commission, automatically get a 1-year free subscription to the handbook electronically, okay? You can get another year if you complete the 8-course basic program. FYI. So if you don't have that, you should be able to get it through Nick, a password that,
Okay.
because every member who comes in gets that for a year, right?
Okay.
Then you just gotta remember to use
You
it.
may have given that to me, I'm sorry.
It may be very.
I have thousands of emails that I've not read.
No problem.
And probably never will.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments, about the ordinance? No? Okay.
Oh, no, one small comment.
Sure.
So seeing the development, around my property continuing,
Mhm.
it really didn't occur to me how much that buffer zone protects the wetlands in the sense that the canopy is there to
Mhm.
keep the sun out,
Yeah, the
keep
shade
on it.
upstream, yeah.
Yeah, and I was really blown away at how much new sun exposure is, reaching that sensitive receptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that Angela used to talk about all the time, is to protect that cold water fishery if there is one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's important.
I was up there today, I was surprised by that.
Yeah,
Because I saw the one lot cleared, but they've got that other one out.
Yeah,
Yes.
the change in the canopy is huge. It's not just the change in permeable versus impermeable structures. It's, the temperature and the moisture, it's
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
You get this whole 3-dimensional structure that can store water and
Yeah.
slow wind down and, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Agreed.
so just very passionate about the buffer.
Good.
So we can include that under Commissioner News, which is the next item on the agenda. Just,
Oh, yeah, the development's going.
Yeah, right,
It's open discussion more than.
yeah. So, under Commissioner News, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up? Any?
So that actually reminds me, on that point for that site on Wildflower Road, Patrick McCarty reached out to me regarding a separate issue. He's gonna be coming forward with an RDA on his property. But when I was talking to him about, so expect that, I guess, first of all. But then,
Okay.
when I was talking to him about that, he asked me if I'd heard anything from, the property owner out there or the applicant or anyone that had anything to do with the development out there, and I said I haven't. The last thing I heard was they needed to, do a perk test, to get some of the information that DEP had requested. And they were going to do that supposedly once the weather warmed up and everything, but since the weather's warmed up a few months ago, no one's heard anything from the property owners. McCarty hasn't heard anything from them. They've kind of gone radio silent on him, and I haven't heard anything either. They will have to get in touch with DEP before they do any testing out there, and I've looped in on those emails. But until they do that, they can't do anything else, and they've kind of ghosted everybody, so.
Yeah, they got plenty of work on their plate right now with the two that they're working on,
Yeah.
so.
So the appeal may kind of fizzle out. I'm not sure how long the state is gonna continue on with the appeal if they're not hearing any information from anybody, so. Just putting that out there, that's something I learned recently, is they've gone missing, so.
Ghost.
With
Yeah.
no septic, what's the purpose of the perk test?
Or not, maybe not the perk test, but they needed to do some
Test
sort,
pits.
a test pit, that's the, thank you. They
Yeah.
needed to dig a test pit, to get some of the information that DEP had requested from them. Because they required further information before they came up with their decision in the appeal.
Nick, if you could sometimes summarize some of these DEP questions for us to give us an idea of what they looked for when this all gets done.
That's all.
The verbal and maybe a memo that said, well, they asked for this and that, and this is why, and I don't know why this one. And,
On the appeal,
yeah, on the whole appeal, I'm surprised they've asked this much and taken this long, frankly.
Yeah. And, yeah, some of that might be relevant for how we're crafting the
Ordinance.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Tell them not to blame it on COVID.
yeah, we're getting past
Yeah,
that.
it might still be understaffed though.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Horribly. All right,
Not as bad as Connecticut, though.
is that all right?
Brutal.
Moving on, so, the next meeting will be July 11th, 2023. The filing deadline was last Friday, June 23rd, and June. The meeting after that will be July 25th, 2023, and the filing deadline will be July 7th.
Next time.
Oh, and one more thing.
Please.
Good job to the agent. No new hearings. We're getting cleaned up, tight. Everything's good. Good
Well,
job.
The new hearings aren't as much in my control as the continued hearings.
I know.
So, with that,
Just take
I'll,
a compliment.
I've told everyone to stop requesting permits.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
That's
And
one
they
way.
listen.
with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Seconded.
All right, I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll
Beat you on
call.
that one.
Jeff Chambers. Aye. Stephanie Quinlan
Aye.
and Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
All right, thanks everybody.